Imagine standing in a ballroom full of rich people, cameras everywhere, music playing, and suddenly feeling warm, red wine pouring down your face while the CEO laughs. Now imagine they call you staff, make fun of your budget suit, and shove you toward the service side of the room while you are the one secretly funding their $800 million deal. If it were you, what would you have done? My name is Jamal Rivers, and this is the night I got publicly humiliated at my own deal signing, and how one quiet phone call turned their celebration into a slow-motion collapse. I'm not here to brag or say, look how powerful I am. That is not the point. I am telling this story because a lot of people walk around acting like disrespect is free, like they can just throw it at anyone who does not look the way they expect, and nothing will ever come back on them. That night in the High-On Grand Ballroom proved something to me. The world is smaller than you think, and the person you are laughing at might be holding the pen over your future. You know what I mean. So let me take you back to the beginning of that night. The High-On Grand Ballroom looked like a movie set for rich people. Crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, throwing soft light onto white tablecloths and gold-edged plates. Glasses lined up like soldiers polished until they almost glowed. A string quartet in the corner playing something soft and expensive that nobody was really listening to. Perfume, steak, and wine all mixed in the air. It smelled like money trying to impress itself. On every big screen in that room, one logo kept spinning in slow motion: Hale Quantum Systems. They were the stars of the night, at least that is how they saw it. The tech darling, the company with the crazy valuation, and the shiny future, the one everybody wanted a selfie with. And everyone kept talking about the same thing: their historic $800 million deal with a mysterious investor. That mysterious investor was me, but if you had looked at that room in that moment, you would never have guessed it. People were not scanning the crowd, wondering, which one is the investor? They were looking for the CEO, his wife, the board members, the influencers, the people whose names they already knew. I arrived through the main entrance like everyone else, not through a side door, not with a security team. Just me and a black invitation card with a silver seal in my hand. I wore a navy suit, well-tailored, but simple white shirt tie, clean haircut, neat beard, simple silver watch. No loud logos, no diamonds, no big show. And for some people, that was enough to decide I did not belong. At the door, the security guard did not look at my face. First, he looked at my shoes, my suit, the way I carried myself. His eyes went up and down once, then he asked, "You with catering, sir?" Just like that. Not good evening, not welcome to the gala, not may I see your invitation. Just an assumption based on what he thought a guest should look like. Now I wish I could tell you I was shocked, but the truth is I'm used to that. You collect those little moments over a lifetime. But even when you are used to it, there is always that tiny sting. You learn not to show it. I smiled, lifted the black invitation a little, so he could see the silver seal. His eyes dropped to it, and everything about him shifted. "Oh, my apologies, sir, I didn't realize." "Of course you didn't. It's fine," I said, and walked past him. But I filed it away in my mind. That is how I operate. Disrespect is data. It tells you who you are dealing with, what they really think long before the contracts are signed. Inside, the same energy followed me. It just wore nicer shoes. 2 women in sequin dresses stood near the entrance taking photos. One looked up as I walked by, gave me a quick once-over, then moved her clutch to the other side of her body, like she was worried I might bump into her and ruin her dress. The other followed her eyes, took one look at my suit, and then looked straight through me as if I were part of the wall. I headed toward the bar, not for champagne, just for water. When there are that many zeros in the air, I prefer a clear head. As I got close, A guy in a tux with slicked back hair and the kind of smirk money buys stepped directly in front of me, cutting me off. No "excuse me," no nod, nothing. He leaned his elbow on the bar, turned to his friend, and said loud enough for me to hear, "Staff first, right?" Then he laughed like it was the line of the night. "Yeah, that happened," his friend snickered. I moved a little to the side and waited. When the bartender finally saw me, I asked for water. He handed it to me with that neutral face people use when they are not sure how important you are. I took my water and found a spot near one of the marble columns close enough to see the stage, and most of the tables far enough that nobody paid attention to me. I like that position. The view is good, and you get to see who people really are when they think you are nobody. That is important because I was not there only to smile and sign papers. On paper, Hale Quantum Systems looked solid. Numbers, projections, product, all of that. But money is not just about numbers, it is about character. I needed to know what kind of people I was about to tie $800 million to. The host stepped up on stage and tapped the microphone, sending that little metallic echo over the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hale Quantum Systems Gala." Voices dropped a little. Forks paused over plates, and heads turned toward the stage. I stayed leaning against my column, sipping water. Watching. The host went into his speech. He talked about innovation, disruption, the future, all the buzzwords. Then he hit the big line. "Tonight we celebrate a historic partnership, an $800 million deal that will change this city, this industry, maybe even the world." You could almost feel the greed in the room shift and settle like thicker air. People straightened up, glanced around with that look that says, "We are in the room where it is happening." Phones came up to record, glasses clinked, smiles stretched wider. And then the stars of the night made their big entrance. First, Vanessa Hale. She walked onto the stage like she had practiced it in the mirror. Gold dress hugging her perfectly diamond sparkling at her ears, and wrist-red lipstick sharp as a blade. She moved with that "this is my kingdom" energy, waving like she was greeting peasants who had won the privilege of seeing her up close. Next to her was her husband, Richard Hale, the CEO, the face of Hale Quantum. Tall, sharp jawline hair, just tousled enough to look intentional, suit tailored to perfection. He had that media-trained smile, confident and slightly empty at the same time. People clapped harder. Some lifted their phones higher. The room leaned toward them. Everybody was watching them. Almost nobody noticed me, a black man in a navy suit standing by a column in the back, and I was fine with that, until I wasn't. At some point, as Vanessa scanned the room with that queen of the ball gaze, her eyes landed on me. I could see the change happen. A slight tilt of her head, the narrowing of her eyes, the way her mouth curved into a slow smirk, like she had just spotted something out of place. She leaned in and whispered into Richard's ear. His eyes followed her line of sight, landed on me, and his expression hardened. "Do you ever feel someone decide you are a problem, without you doing a single thing?" That is what it felt like in that moment. Rich people can be very creative when they are bored and looking for entertainment. Richard stepped down from the stage, that CEO smile still on his face, and walked toward me. People watched him, curious, thinking he was about to greet some special guest. The crowd parted for him automatically. He stopped right in front of me. "Sir," he said in that tone that sounds polite, but isn't. "Are you supposed to be standing here?" He said it like there was an invisible line on the floor, and I had crossed it without permission. I looked him in the eye. "I am fine here," I said. "Just observing." He chuckled short and dismissive. "Observing, right." Then he snapped his fingers at a passing server without even turning his head. "Get him a towel or something, looks like he is sweating through that budget suit." A few heads turned. One man nearby whispered to his wife, "Who let him into VIP?" Then he added, "The staff entrance is on the other side." I could have pulled out my card, my credentials, my name, I could have said, "You should probably treat me better. I own the company you are about to sign with." But there is a part of me that refuses to beg for basic respect. If you can only see my value when you see my money, you do not deserve either. So I said nothing. Silence bothered them more than any comeback would have. Then Vanessa joined us. You could hear her approach in the sharp tap of her heels on the floor. She slid up beside Richard, never taking her eyes off me, and in one smooth motion, she plucked a glass of red wine off a passing tray, not even glancing at the server carrying it. She looked me up and down like she was inspecting something that had been delivered to the wrong address. "You know, sweetie," she said with a sweet voice and an ugly tone, "if you needed work tonight, you could have signed up. Pretending to be a guest is not the move." I stayed quiet. I let her words hang in the air. They did not bounce off me. They landed somewhere inside. But I refused to give her the satisfaction of seeing that. She stepped closer, holding the wine glass out toward my chest, as if she was handing me a tray. "Go take this to table 3, she said. "They are waiting, not a request. An order." When I did not reach for the glass, her smile dropped. "Seriously," she snapped. "Do your job." Time slowed down for a second. The sounds of the room, the music, the chatter, the clinking, all blurred into the background. It was just her eyes, his smile, the glass of wine, and that cold rush of humiliation rising in my chest. Then Richard took the glass from her hand. "Allow me," he said, voice raised just enough to draw attention. He turned slightly, so more people could see him. One less confused worker ruining the vibe, and he poured the red wine down the front of my suit. Not a splash, not a pretend accident. He tipped the glass forward and let it run over my shoulder down my chest, soaking my shirt and jacket. It hit warm, then cooled quickly, dripping onto the carpet. The room gasped. Somebody off to the side said, "Wow, he really did that." A phone lifted higher to capture the moment. A few people looked away, but they stayed quiet. Vanessa gave a tiny, satisfied laugh. "Maybe now he knows where he stands," she murmured. "If it were you standing there, wine dripping off your collar, a whole room watching, what would you have done? Be honest. Would you have snapped, shouted, swung at him? Would you have walked out with tears in your eyes? Because here is what I did. I lifted my hand and wiped my jaw with 2 fingers, slow and controlled. I looked down at my suit, watched the stain spread. Then I straightened my sleeve and squared my shoulders. I looked Richard right in the eyes and let him see that I was still standing, still, calm. I did not say a word. Then I turned and walked away. No rush, no stumble, no apology offered to anyone. I just left. As I passed 2 servers near the wall, I heard one whisper, "That man walked out like he owned the place." The other shook his head. "Nobody like that owns anything in here." Well, the night was not over yet. The hallway outside the ballroom was cooler and quieter. The thick carpet swallowed my footsteps. The smell of wine clung to me sour and sharp, mixing with the faint scent of whatever air freshener the hotel used. I stopped for a second, took a slow breath, and felt the anger rise again. Not the wild, exploding kind, but the cold, focused kind. I have learned over the years that anger can destroy you, or it can sharpen you. I chose sharp. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and stared at the screen for half a second. No social media, no cameras, no group chats. I tapped one number, the one that goes straight to the top of my team. The call barely rang. "Ready for instructions, sir," my head of legal said immediately. He knew where I was. He knew what tonight was supposed to be. "Pull the offer," I said, voice steady. "Lock every channel. Announce it now. No speech, no venting, just the decision." "Understood," he replied, no hesitation, and that was it. Months of negotiation, years of positioning, all of it ended with a 30-second call. In a hotel hallway, made by the man they thought was an extra. As I walked toward the elevator, a couple stood waiting there, dressed up, holding drinks. The woman glanced at my stained suit, her eyes widened, and she nudged her partner. "That's the guy they poured the wine on," she whispered. "He didn't even react," the man said, shaking his head. "You don't walk like that, unless you are somebody." The elevator doors opened, and I stepped inside. Soft music played low and forgettable. In the mirrored walls, I saw myself. Same man who had walked in an hour earlier, just with a red streak down his front. I loosened my tie a little more for comfort than drama. My phone buzzed in my hand. "Contract status terminated," the message read. "Announcement delivered. All accounts tied to Hale Quantum, frozen pending review." I slid the phone back into my pocket and watched the elevator numbers drop. When the doors opened into the lobby, I stepped out into another world. Out here, people were laughing, posing for photos, checking their phones between sips of champagne. A few heads turned when they saw the wine on my suit. I heard someone say, "That's him," under their breath. Outside the glass doors, I could see the reflection of the ballroom lights. Inside, things were still moving like a normal gala. They had no idea yet. A valet moved toward me with a polite smile. "Sir, can I get your car?" "Walking is fine," I said, lifting a hand gently. He stopped, nodded, and stepped back. I pushed through the doors into the cool night air. The city hummed around me. Cars, distant sirens, laughter from a bar down the block. Behind me, through the glass, I saw the ballroom screens flicker. Then the music inside cut off. Somebody at the entrance frowned and turned toward the room. "Why did everything stop?" I heard him ask. His date shrugged, but her eyes stayed locked on the screens. My phone buzzed one more time. "Partners notified, media brief ready," the message said. I put my phone away and kept walking. I did not look back. But inside that ballroom, everything was starting to crack. And trust me, what happened next? They never saw it coming. Back inside, from all the videos and calls I saw later, the moment went from celebration to chaos in minutes. The host was trying to keep things moving when a tall man in a gray suit, one of the senior partners, hurried toward the stage phone pressed to his ear. His face went from confused to shocked to almost sick as he listened to whoever was on the other end. He whispered something into the host's ear. The host froze. For a second, he just stood there, microphone in hand, smiling at the crowd, while his brain processed bad news. Then he cleared his throat. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, voice a little too tight, "we are experiencing a change in the evening's program. It appears that the signing is being temporarily suspended." That word, suspended, echoed through the room. Suspended in the middle of this, someone near the front snapped. "That is impossible," another said. "You don't freeze an $800 million deal during the gala." Vanessa's cheeks lost color. She stepped closer to the host, fingers digging into his arm. "What do you mean suspended?" she demanded. "Who gave that order?" He looked at his phone, then back at her. "The partner company," he said quietly. "They said the directive was final. From the top." "The top," Richard cut in angrily, stepping off the stage. "I am not tonight." Around the room, executives and board members pulled out their phones. Notifications exploded on their screens. "Every account tied to Hale Quantum just got frozen," one of them blurted out. "My portfolio just went red," another whispered, staring at his screen. "Investors are pulling out." At the same time, another kind of notification was spreading. That video. Someone had recorded the wine moment. On the screen, you could clearly see Richard lifting the glass. His smirk. Vanessa smirking beside him. The red wine soaking my suit. While the crowd watched. The caption under it said, "They humiliated a man they thought was staff. He walked out like he owned the place." Phone after phone lit up with that clip. People watched it, then slowly looked up at the couple on stage. The room shifted from confusion to realization. Vanessa grabbed Richard's arm. "Fix it! Now!" she hissed. "I don't even know what broke," he snapped back. "This is clearly some kind of misunderstanding." "Someone did this on purpose," she said, voice shaking. On the big screens, a new message appeared sent by my team. "Hale Quantum Systems contract. Terminated." That word again. No spin, no delays, no half measures. A board member stormed up toward them, phone in hand, face flushed with anger. "This is catastrophic," he said, not even bothering to hide his rage. "Do you understand what you have done? Do you understand who you offended tonight?" "I offended no one," Richard insisted. "It was a joke, that is all. You all are overreacting." "You offended the man who funded this deal," the board member shot back. "The one who owns the partner company." Vanessa's voice dropped to a hoarse whisper. "Who is he?" she asked, as if she could still fix it if she just knew the name. The board member looked at her like he could not believe she was asking. "His name is Jamal Rivers," he said. "He owns the partner company. All of it." Gasps moved across the room like a wave. Near the door, a server nudged his co-worker. "Told you he didn't walk like staff," he said quietly. His co-worker just shook his head. "They picked the wrong man to disrespect." Richard's face went completely pale. Vanessa pressed a shaking hand to her forehead, smearing her makeup. "We poured wine on the investor," she whispered. Do you think it is justice that the deal died only because they did it to someone rich? Or does that bother you a little too?" By the time the sun came up the next morning, the story had broken far beyond that ballroom. Clips from the gala were all over social media. Headlines popped up on news sites. People texted each other links with messages like, "Have you seen this? And this is wild." Power couple humiliates staff at gala. Turns out he owns the company behind their $800 million deal. Wine arrogance and instant karma. Hale Quantum Systems implodes overnight. Everyone had a take. Some people focused on the money, some on the racism and classism, some just on the drama. Hale Quantum's value dropped so fast, it did not look real on the charts. Inside their home, things were louder and quieter at the same time. Vanessa sat on the edge of the bed, one leg bouncing hands, shaking as she scrolled through her phone. Every new notification was another article, another angry comment, another investor cutting ties. Richard paced the floor. Barefoot shirt wrinkled. He made call after call. "We can fix this," he said over and over. "We will apologize. We will explain. We did not know who he was. We were stressed. It was a misunderstanding." Most calls ended quickly. "This is not about who he was," one investor told him. "It is about who you are." "Our firm is out," another said flatly. "Do not call again." By noon, they both knew. If anything was going to be saved, it would not be because of a statement or a press conference. It would be because I allowed it. So they came to see me. I live in a quiet neighborhood, the kind where kids leave their bikes in front yards. People wave when they walk their dogs, and nobody cares what you are worth on paper. My house is not huge, not tiny, just enough. I like it that way. When the doorbell rang, my phone had already pinged me an alert from the security camera. I saw them standing there on my screen before I opened the door. No fancy outfits, no photographers, just two people who looked like they had aged 10 years overnight. I opened the door but did not step aside. Vanessa's eyes were red and swollen. She gripped her phone like it might keep her from falling apart. "We were wrong," she said immediately, voice rough. "We treated you like nothing. Please let us fix this." Richard swallowed. "We lost everything," he added. "The board is turning on us. Investors are gone. Just give us a chance to talk, to make this right somehow. We will apologize publicly. We will do whatever you ask." I listened. I did not interrupt them. But I also did not invite them in. "You did not lose everything today," I said finally. "You lost it the second you decided people's worth came from your comfort." They both went quiet. "You built a world," I continued, "where you thought you could disrespect people and nothing would happen as long as they were below you. Where you could pour wine on someone, call them staff, laugh in their face, and still sign your contracts, still cash your checks, still sleep in peace. What you are dealing with now is not random. It is the bill coming due." Vanessa wiped at her eyes. "We did not know who you were," she whispered. "If we had known," I stopped her with a small shake of my head. "And that is exactly it," I said. "You did not care who I was. You did not bother to find out. You saw a black man in a simple suit standing alone, and you decided I was less important, less valuable, less human. Your apology cannot be based on my bank account." Richard's voice cracked a little. "Is there anything we can do?" he asked. "Anything at all. We will step down. We will donate. We will go on live television and take responsibility. Just tell us what it would take to earn your trust back." I shook my head once. "The deal is gone," I said. "The trust is gone, and my door is closed." There was a long, heavy pause after that. I did not feel joy in that moment. I did not feel the rush people imagine when they think about revenge. I just felt finished. Before I closed the door, I gave them one last thing. "Walk carefully," I said. "The world is smaller than you think." Then I closed the door. They left with nothing. My life moved forward. Their legacy did not. So now you have heard my side of it. And I want to ask you honestly, do you think I did the right thing? Or do you think I should have given them another chance, accepted a public apology? Let the deal go through so that innocent employees would not get caught in the crossfire. Here is what eats at me. If I had actually been a server, if I had truly been staff a man on hourly wages, and they had done the exact same thing, would the world have cared? Would there have been headlines? Stock drops outrage? Or would it have just been another ugly story, passed quietly between co-workers in a break room? People say, they did not know who you were, as if that is some kind of defense. But maybe that is the real problem. If you only treat people with basic respect when you think they can help you, what does that say about you? How you treat the person you believe has no power over you. That is who you are. If you have watched all the way to the end, I want to hear from you. If you were in that ballroom, would you have spoken up when you saw that happen? Or would you have laughed along or filmed it for a quick share? If you were in my shoes, would you have pulled the plug on the deal? Or would you have tried to turn it into a lesson and kept the partnership alive? Do you think what I did was fair? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Be real about it. If you disagree with me, say so. I can handle it. If you have ever been treated like you were less because of how you look, where you work, what you wear, the color of your skin, I want to hear your story too. And if you want more real stories where power flips in a single moment and people learn that respect is not optional, like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs the reminder that titles and money do not make you better than anybody else. Because at the end of the day, no matter what is in your account or what is on your business card, you are not above basic human respect. You know what I mean.